Hello dear friends and lovely people, you're welcome to Netcode-Hub channel. I am Frederick, as you know, and I'm happy to have you here today. In this video, we are going to look at how to implement custom cookie authentication system in .NET 8 web app with interactive server render mode. I have already made a video on how to implement custom JWT authentication with rows and reference token support. If you haven't watched that video, check this video description and you're going to find it in there. You can also support this channel by clicking on the like button and also subscribing to this channel if you haven't done that as well. You can also buy me coffee to support this channel too. Now maybe you'll be asking yourself, what is cookie authentication? Well, if you did ask, then I got you, okay? I got your back. Cookie authentication is a common method used in web development to manage user authentication session. In a Blazor app, which is a web framework by Microsoft for building interactive web applications, as you know, cookie authentication is often employed to handle user authentication and authorization. Checking who the person is, and now checking what the person can do. Let me give you some general overview of how cookie authentication works in Blazor applications. When a user logs in, the server validates their credentials. Upon successful authentication, the server generates a unique authentication token, and that is known as the encrypted cookie, which is sent to the user's browser. Now, with the cookie storage, the authentication or the token is stored in the user's browser, and to be precise, cookie storage. The browser automatically includes this token in a subsequent HTTP request to the server. Now, when it gets to the request authentication, what does it do? For each subsequent request that it makes, the server checks for the presence and validity of the authentication token. That is a cookie. If the token is valid, then the server considers the request authenticated and now processes it accordingly. But what if the token is invalid? Then the server may respond with a code that the client needs to log in again. So absolutely, it's going to deny the access. Now, when it comes to session management, how does it work? The cookie typically has an expiration time. So normally when you create cookie, you have an expiry date. Now, if the user logs out or if the session expires, the server invalidates the cookie, and then the user is required to log in again. So in the cookie system or in the authentication system, you can extend the lifespan of a cookie. Okay, in the Blazor server, it's possible to do that. So this is how actually the system works. Alright, so now you have the overview of it. Let's put this into an actual implementation so that it becomes clear to you as well. Alright, so make sure you have your Visual Studio launched, and you're going to create a new project. This is going to be web app. The name here is going to be Demo Blazor Interactive Server Cookie Authentication System. Now, if you want to have the source code, you check the video description, and it will be there waiting for you. Trust me. Okay, so let's click on next. And here, we're going to choose the type. Let's make it as none because this is going to be a customized one. So we need not to follow what has been created already. Let's choose the interactive render mode at server. And now per page location, that's the interactivity. We can leave it per page or global, any. It's okay. Click on create to get this project created. You make sure the framework is .NET 8 because that support the authentication, not authentication, the interactivity render mode type. So first thing first, what is the first thing to do? Guess what? Let's install and get packages we're going to be using for this. We're going to have a connection with database. So which packages are popping in your mind? That is the EF Core, SQL Server, and now tools, isn't it? That's fine. Let's get this package installed. So I click on dependencies and I go to manage get packages from the browse section. We want to install first for the identity. We need to install Microsoft.ASP.NET Core Identity.EFCore. So let's install this package. current version that I'm storing here is 8.0. Maybe you may have higher, or yeah, I think higher. So, or the same. So let's install this package. When we are done, we're going to install EF Core. So we need EF Core. Let me clear this. EF Core, the SQL server. That is this one too, the same version, 8.0.1. Make sure the versions are actually the same. Let's accept this. And also the last one that we need to install here, we need efcore.tools to enable us perform DB migration. So this one, 8.0.1. So when you go to the installed packages, you're going to find all the packages that we have installed here. Let's have a look. Okay, so they are here. You can also check from solution. You go to the same dependencies, and have you seen packages? Have you found yours? Click on this, and we see we have them here, right? Good. Now let's build this project to make everything intact. You can see that the build is successfully completed. Now let's go in there and create our models, right? So we're going to create our models, and we need our DTOs. So what are models? What are DTOs? Models are the same as entities. That is database entities. What database are going to use to create, what EF Core is going to use to create database, the tables and the columns respectively for us. That's what it needs, the models or the entity. DTOs are data transfer objects to communicate data from a user, that's the end user, and the database. So it's in between, is a middleman, right? It goes in, it goes out, it goes in, it goes out as a messenger. Okay, so we need both for the registration and also for the login. Now with this, we can create a customized identity system. But for now, I want us to use the built-in by Microsoft. Since we're going to use a cookie session, I think this would be better for us to use it. So we're going to use identity management system. Now with this identity, we have to create our models, and we have to inherit from identity, use identity role, user manager, sign manager, and etc. Right? So that's what you're going to do here. Now, before we do that, let's create a model first. Right? So let's add a folder to this. And now with this folder, let's name this as models. Now with this model, we want to create a class in here. And now this class is going to extend identity user. Identity user is a default class created by the ASP team. Now it has some properties such as username, telephone number, password, and etc. If you want to add an extra data to collect from the user, you can do that. So let's have, I'm going to say an application user. Now with this application user, we're going to extend from, it's going to inherit from a parent class known as what? Guess what? That's fine. I know you're saying identity user, but I can't hear you. But I know you said it, right? So control period, we need to include this from the package that we just installed. First one, that's identity.efcore. Why is it taking long? It's still loading suggestions, right? Okay, so let's wait for the suggestions to get loaded. That's fine, we have it. Now, once you have this, we're going to now, let's have prop. We're going to have our string, and I'm going to take in name. Okay, so we need name. Let me set this as string.empty. Maybe be asking yourself, or you be asking me, but I can't hear you, but I've seen it. Okay, so you're asking what are the properties that this identity user contain that I do not conflict it or duplicate it. See, if I right click on identity user and I go to definition, let's see what it has. You can see that in here it is inheriting from this identity user again, but when you check this, it has identity user. You can see first it has a property username, isn't it? Now if you want to find all these properties, right click on this. Let's go to definition again. These are inbuilt, so you need not to touch it. Never touch it, leave it as it, okay? before you run into any error and start running away. You can say it has this: username, normalized username, email, normalized email, confirmed email, password, phone number. You can see, so all these are properties that this identity has. So if you want to add any extra, you make sure you do not duplicate anyone in here. You pass in a unique one, and name is not added. You have username, but name is not actually added. That's the reason why we're adding name to this. So we're going to have name, email, username, and password. That's only what we want for our registration system. If you want to add more, put it here. Am I making sense? That's right. Now let's see. So let's save this. We have a model created. Now let's create our DTOs. And DTOs are the data transfer objects. We have to put them in a folder. Organization is the key. So DTOs. Within that DTO, let's add a login DTO and now register DTO. So let's first have our login DTO. Now, what are the properties that we need under login? What do you think? What are the ones that you are going to be using in your login system? Maybe you want to use email, password. Yes, you want to use these two, isn't it? I also want to use the same. So let's put them here. Because we have an email as an attribute that we adding on top to make it as an attribute to restrict it in the form of an email. We have a password in here, and we need to create our login or register DTO as well. So let's do same. DTO, add a new class, and now it is going to be register DTO. Now this register DTO, we know we're still going to have this. We're going to need email and password. So, do you not repeat yourself? We want to inherit this. So we want to do that. This is a login DTO. Yes. So go to this class, pick all the members in there, and I'll add it to this virtually. Is it spiritually? Okay, so virtually or spiritually for Christians or for the spiritually, isn't it? But for virtually, it is inclusive. Physically, it is exclusive. That's fine. Okay, so let's go. Now, within, what are the other properties that we need to add to this? Maybe since we have email and password, we can add maybe name. I think name, isn't it? Yes, so we can add name. Let me just make in here, instead of saying email, maybe you can say this your full name. So add your full name. So we want to remove this email. Now this should be out since it is not an email. We have a name in here, and we want to also add password, isn't it? Good. So for this password, we want to add confirm password because you have password set already. So all these are going to be set automatically, so we need not to add this anymore. Let's clear that. Okay. So we have confirm password, that's going to be the name, and we have the password in here. Okay. That's fine. We have these two guys in here, plus the 2 here, making 4 or 5. This is, we have 1, 2. We have 2 here, making 4. Okay, so these are the properties that we need for registration and for login DTOs. They're going to take the data from the user and now bring it to this entity model for it to get to the database and now perform magic that we want. Let's save this. We can now close this peacefully because we are done with what we need. Let's go to this, and we need to also create our AppDB context, and that is actually the data access layer. We're going to have access to database, making a connection, getting data in and out, here and there, right? So let's create a new folder to this, and I would like to name it as data. What would you like to name yours? Maybe you can put in your name, but make sure it synchronizes with what you are doing. The context is the same. So let's add an AppDB context class in here. You can give it a name as well. So I'm saying AppDB content, that is application database context class. You can also say DB context class. You can also say context class. You can even put your name.context class. Well, it depends on you. So AppDB context class. I don't know how to add a class, okay? Because you know it's a class already. All right, now this has to inherit from identity DB context. You see? Now with this, aside from this, it's not going to inherit from only this. It has this that we can extend as a T user. What's a T user here? Normally we should have added application, not identity user, but we need an application user since we have extended that class. Okay, so let's include this. So this is what it needs to inherit from. Then control period, we can generate a constructor and I'll pass in this appdb context class in here. Very well. That's what we need to do. Okay. We don't need to create any table. Maybe you're asking yourself, okay, fine. So we're going to create a table as a user table, right? No, please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Third time, do not do that. The reason why I'm saying that is identity context class contains these models that are going to use to create a table for you. So don't add any identity table. No. Let's save this. Let's register connection in the database or the program.cs file. We're going to register connection in here. So maybe before the build, builder.build, right? Let's do all the magic in here. So first of all, there's going to be a database connection string. And you know, with database connection string, we have to get this application DB, but we made it as appdb context. So where from this application? Sorry for that. I don't want to confuse you, okay? Let me clear that. Control period, we can include this in, that is coming from the data folder, right? Good, so we have a database connection string created, but we don't have the string yet, do we? Okay, we don't. So this is what we're going to do quickly. We can just grab this, go to the appsetting.json file, and I'll do that magic in there. So from here, we can say that, oh, see what I've done? You see? So here I'm going to say connection string. Then the name here is going to be default connection. Now with this, we're going to say server is going to be what? Local. So local for the local database local server. We have database name here is going to be demo. Okay. Blazor interactive server DB. Ha. That's fine. Then we're going to say trusted underscore connection. Set this to true. And here you need to add trust server certificate, else you're going to have an issue with it. Trust server certificate. Set this also true. That's all that we need. Simple. Change the name of the DB. If you want, you can maintain this. Change your server name to your server. All right. That is it. For these two guys, they are the same. Don't touch it. Yeah, so save this. Now we are down here. The next thing that we're going to do here is register this identity cookie authentication, right? That's identity manager. So we can do that first. And use builder.services.add authentication as we'll be doing for the JWT. You have to also do same for authentication. Then options. I hate these options. I like to use this one. When you compare this, which one is more readable, simple? Why is not this one? Yes. So let's do this. And aside from that, we need to add identity manager, so default token provider, signing manager, role manager, a lot, and EF core or the identity framework store, right? So let's start to do that in here. So builder.services, so dot add identity. Normally, I know that here, when using the old version, you could pass in your application user and add identity role, isn't it? But with this Blazor interactive server, do not do that, else I'm sure you're going to have an error. You can try that and see. But if you don't want any issue, then let's maintain as this one. So instead of saying identity like just raw, no, we want to add core. Okay, let's add core to this. Let's specify our application user. So application user. And you know this? Do you remember? This is a model that we created. Okay. Now aside from this, we need to, okay, I can put it on the same line. That means I like vertical coding than the horizontal one. Or, oh, am I deviating you? I like the horizontal coding than the vertical one. Yes. It is more readable to me, but well, choose your choice. You need to add entity framework call, so entity framework call, entity framework store. We need to pass in our appdb context class. You see this? Aside from this, we need to also add let's add rows. Now with this rows, we need to add, we did not create an extension for row, right? So let's use a default one, identity row. Okay, I like horizontal coding. Please don't say anything. Dot. Okay, then we need to add sign in. So sign in manager. And now since we are trespassing, let me put this down here. So dot sign in manager. Then we need an application. Okay, so here usually we're supposed to add application DB context, but here sign in manager is going to do it all for us. Okay, now aside from that, let's add default token provider. Yes, let's do this. Okay, so let's save this. Let's close this. We come back again, but for now let's close it. Let's run it. Let's build the project again, then we perform database migration. So this is done. We go to package manager console. If you're not finding yours, please go to tools, or not tools, go to views or not views. Back to tools. We get package manager. Ah, there's a guy. Click on this. Okay. So I'm clearing the screen just like that. I haven't started. And I'm going to say add migration, and this is able to work because of the entity framework called .tool package that we installed. If you forget to install this, please going to have an error trying to run this. So make sure you have that package installed. Add migration, and now the name here is going to be first, and -o organization is the key, and that's an output. Where do you want to keep it? Open a folder called data, create another folder called migrations, and now do your magic in this folder. Let's see. Alright, are you there? So you can see that here we have the file created. As you can see, AppDB add migration, and these are all tables from this identity manager. Okay, so check it out. We have ASP.NET rows, ASP.NET users. I believe this is the first time of you seeing this. You know it already. But if you are new, then these are all tables. These are the various column names in the table. So they're going to be the table name, and these are the column names. So all these are from the identity manager. All right, now let's update database. So update dash database. Yes, so this is also done. We can just close this. So the next thing to do here is we're going to create our service. You know, since you're not going to expose an API here, since the Blazor interactive server, everything is going to be intact in here. So we're going to create our service, which is going to have access to a database and start doing magic in there, right? For the login and the registration as well. So I click on this. Let's create a service for that. So click on folder, and now here there's going to be services. For services, right click on this. Let's add a new interface. And we're going to say I account. Maybe you can add a service to it. But since I have the folder, I don't want to say I account service again. But maybe you can do that. So I account, or I account will be okay for me. But I don't know you. You can just add it. Now this I account, we have to create a response, a service response to return. Maybe in case you have any issue. So I'm going to create a folder again. And now this is going to be responses. Now with this, I'm going to create a custom class. I'm going to name it as service response. Well, you can also name this any name that you feel you want to use it for your service or your response. Now this, we're going to use a record. We need only a flag and now a message. In case you have any error, hi, get it out for us. That is it. So when we come back to the service interface that we have created, you and I have created or creating, we're going to have we're going to have a register async, and you're going to pass in a return type of service, return as a service response. We pass in the register DTO, and we create an instance as model. we're going to also do same to the login. So you're also going to have the login async. You pass a login DTO, and these are the payloads, right? These are going to be retrieved or received by the system from the user. And now when it gets to the server and get communicated, this is going to be the result, the return type we're going to get from the server and return to the user. So here is the in, here is the out, in, out, in, out. That's what it's doing. I believe this is clear. That's fine. Let's create, since we have an interface, we need to create implementation so we can bind this together, right? Like husband and wife. Okay, so now let's create this, and we're going to create to service. And this is going to be an implementation, not an interface, sorry. So this is going to be just an account. And now in here, what is the next thing to do? First we have to inherit it, isn't it? I believe this is what you were saying, and that's fine. So they're going to inherit from I accounts. Yes, control period. We're going to implement all the interfaces in here. For now, we have how many interfaces? 2. We need to inject our identity manager and also our user manager and role manager, isn't it? Good. So this is what you're going to do. Let's create a constructor in here. So CTOR. Oh, CORTR. Oh. So CTOR constructor. Hit on that. And now here we need to include our user manager first. We create an instance in here. So we need a user manager. That is first one. We also need sign-in manager. That is second one. We need a role manager. That is the fourth one. These are the 3 serious guides that we need for this to work. And that's the role manager. Okay. All right. So we have this. You're going to right click on any, control period, then check here, create an assigned remaining as fields, not properties. Go for this one. You're going to have them issued in here. You can also use primary constructors, right? But for now, you don't want to do that. In the previous video that you and I have done together, we use a primary constructor. So I believe you have the idea. For now, I want to maintain this. This is the manual way, the old way, the traditional way. Yes. I don't want to confuse you guys for now. Let's focus on this. And later on, you can modify it yourself. Can't you do it? Yeah, I trust you. Okay. Now, aside from that, we're going to look at the login or the registration. Which one first? I think registration must come before login. How can you log in whilst you have not registered? Okay, so let's jump to, then I think we should move this. You register first before you log in. That's the best thing to do. Okay. So for registration, here's going to be an async since we have a task. Async, that's fine. Let's first find user by email. The payload that is coming in here, we want to find the user first. So get user from here. Okay, passing the login DTO. So here, then I think I have to make it like login DTO. So find the email. Now, if email is not found, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Tell the user something, right? So the user not found. Or what's okay? You know what? I'm trying to implement this in login. Or it is not login. This is not login. This is going to be a registration, right? So that's what I want to do. Before we do that, we want to find the user first, right? If user is not equal to null, meaning if user exists already, then the user already exists. Because you don't want the system to have multiple accounts with same email. Oh no. User already exists. That's fine. What if user is not existing? We want to populate an instance of this app application user. And now we want to gather this name, username, password, and the email. Now when you look at the password here, you can see get or set sorted and hash representation of password for this user. So don't think about having any property or any get package to encrypt the password for you. The property here has a get method, and as soon as it retrieves a value here, it's going to encrypt it. It's going to have a sort and now hash it. So you won't going to see the raw text. You're going to be encrypted. That's the reason why I love this identity so much. Now we are having an error here. Yeah, I know you know what to do, isn't it? Aside from creating this and populating this as an app user, what can you do again? We have to create an account. So create it, an account. You can see we have it here. Have you seen? So just hit on the tab key to get this account created. We store it as a create user. Now this could return true or false, right? So it could return succeeded or not succeeded. So we have to check. And maybe in case it is not, you can retrieve the error here. But here you're going to create a customized error system to handle this. In case it is succeeded, we want to do the following. Okay, but what if in case it is not, then we can just tell the person, hello my friend, hello my dear, something occurred. So please, error occurred. So it could not. Oh, occurred. Oh, fantabulous. So error occurred. In case it succeeds, user has now created. What can we do? We want to create and assign a role to user. In my use case, I do say that the first person to register the system automatically is going to be an administrator. It's going to be added to the admin role. The subsequent registrations are going to have a user role. That is my use case. What of yours? Do you like mine? Then let's implement mine. Okay. So we're going to first find a role manager. You're going to find this role. So we're going to check, do you have an admin role created? If yes, it tells you that admin role is already created. So there's a person who has been assigned as an admin already. So then it's going to skip. If admin role is null, it means if admin role is not created, then let's create this admin role. If it is not, my friend, create it. And after creating the current user at hand, please do assign this user to an admin role. Close it, and that is it. What of in case it is not? So else, if admin is already created, then please do check if we have a user role created. So check it for me. What is the response? Is the user role in there? Is it created? Yes or no? If it is no, then please do create it for me. So this can be in just one line. Since you have this, please do create it for me. Now when you are done, the current user at hand, please do assign that person to the user role. You see? Good. Then what else can you do? After doing all this, then creating this or creating that, return this user created. Success. So let's say user created. This is a custom message. You can decide to type in any of yours you want to add it, so you can just return. So our system is created and fixed, set, and done. Let's have a look. So I'm going to click on this, save this, and let's go to solution. I think we have to register this, isn't it? So in this program.cs file, we go there from the vast page. Down here, we can just add builder.services.add scope. Then with this scope, we need to specify the I account. Then we say this is an account, right? Good. So this is the implementation, and now let's save this. After doing this, what's the next thing to do? We can close this program. Then let's go to the component, the import, and now let's put them here. So I'm going to say at using demo. Let me just grab this, and now demo dot, we need DTOs. We also need same. What again? We're gonna have our pages in here, right? So pages, we're gonna have another. We're gonna create another one as authentication. Then here, let's inject. Okay, so we also need one. Yes. Thank you for remembering me. You said services, isn't it? Yes. So let's inject I account. Then we say account service. Let's save that. Now with this, Control D, it is already in there. So let's save this. Let's close it. Reopen it again. We must have it in a colored form, not this. Okay, well, we have it created or it is set. Maybe we need to close this and now or build this application. Import. It's not working. So let's build this. I know you will say this is not existing before building. Yes, we have an error. So let's create this, add a new folder to this. We're going to do authentication. Don't worry about this folder. I'll tell you what we're going to do now. Okay, so forget about that. Let's move on. Let's build this and see if it's going to work. Okay, so we still have an issue here. The name type authentication does not exist in this namespace, but we do have it now. We have just created it. Or where is it found? It's not inside the app. Yeah, it is here. Authentication, and it is saying we do not have it. Wow. Unless maybe I have to close it, and that's how at times this ID troubles me. Okay. I have to close it and open it again. Give me a second. Oh yeah, I'm back. So you can see that it is in here. So authentication, and this authentication, and that is authentication. Where is it? Authentication, authentication, authentication. It is coming from authentication. And okay, so maybe for now, since there's nothing in, Ctrl-KC, we can comment this. Now you see this is working. We have it in a colored form interface with 8 instances here created. That's fine. Let's have a look on the registration. So in our service, since we are done creating this, we're going to create our login. So it's going to come from the component folder. Then you see we have pages, right? So inside these pages, we want to turn one of these into a register page. For this register page, I'm not sure I'm going to take you through a step-by-step creating the form. Just design any edit form with the property that we have stated, and that's going to be for, if I go to this register, you can see we have 4 properties in here: name, email, password, and confirm password. Try to get this data out, right? And that's what I'm going to do. So in here, let me remove the counter, or even let me counter be there. Okay, weather forecast also be there, but the counter is off. Oh, sorry. So let me just have the registration system in here. I have a component created already, so register, and that is the route. So account and register, that is the route. Okay, now you see from here we have an edit form, and now you see here, since you're having a form, you want to statically render this form, so we need to make it in the method of post. So you see we are adding this method because you're going to have a button clicked, and now if you do not provide interactive server attribute or render mode on top, button click is not going to work. But you want to also render only this form. You don't want to add any buttons, and then so we need not to add the render system. All right, so we have to statically render this. And if you render this statically, it tells you that this page is not going to be responsive. That's a static server rendering. This page is not going to be responsive. All buttons on the click, hi, nothing going to happen. That's the reason why we need to include the form name, and also you make a method as post. We have a register DTO created. Where is it? If I click on button submit, it's going to this method, submitting to this or posting to this method as a register user. We have a class is a form floating, register DTO name, and etc. You see we have email, we have a password and a confirm password. Okay. Now aside from that, when you have a look here, you can see that we have the supply parameter from form, and that's a form. Maybe my error handling here is not the best. I just want to show you how to display the error. You can just format it to suit your high level style that you want. Then in here we're going to for an account. So here going to be an account service dot register async. We pass in this. Okay. Now the result that is coming in, we're going to check. If it is true, then it means account is created. We need to include this, navigate to this account, and now login. So as soon as you're done creating an account, we navigate you to the login. Else, we set a response here, and now the error is going to be displayed down here. Very simple one, you see? So we're creating the service and are consuming the service inside the register component. Fantastic. Now with this, why we having this error? Because we have not created an instance of this nav manager. Quickly in the import, we can do that. So we're going to say inject nav manager. Nav manager. Very simple. Now when you check it again, you save this, and now when you check this, this must be solved. We're going to do the same to the login. So I'm still not going to create a login for you. Design it yourself. Login page. I'm going to have the login in here. That's my login. Now it's the same account and login. Then place login. Isn't it? Have you seen that? So let me add a place because this page must be respectful. It should respect everybody. So place login. Now from here, well, I like this. Please login. Now you can see we have the email and now we have the password. That is it. We have the button as login. You see? Login. And now in here we have the same error. That is what we want to display. We call this apply parameter from form. And now when this is clicked, we want to call this account service rather dot login passing the model. And now the same. If this is okay, then return to this. For now, we're not having any page. We're using this home page. So if it is what you want, please navigate to the page, reload the page, and then that is it to get this account created and everything set. Okay, so that's the registration system. Let me close this, open it again. So I'm going to have the colored one, not the black and white, as you are saying. Yes, it's intact. That's fine. So this is our login, but we have not implemented the login yet. So we're going to have a look on the registration system. Let's run this application and I'll check it out. So the app is launched, but you're not having a login or logout. You're not having a login or register in here, isn't it? Because we have not added into the nav manager or the nav menu. So we have to manually add yourself to accounts and register. Do you remember? Have you gotten your form? Oh, okay. That's fine. Now let's add a name. So I'm going to say this is Netcode-Hub, right? Then the email is going to be an admin/admin.com. Password, let me say this is an admin@123. That's a nice password, admin@123. If I click on register, let's see what happens. Well, we wait to see if this is going to work or not. Okay, so it is still running. Oh, that's fine. It worked. You can see it has navigated to the login page. Let's create another one. So we're going to go back in here, the same register. Instead of this, I'm going to say user@user. And now this is going to be Netcode-Hub version 2. What do you think? Yes, version 2. Then I'm going to say here user@123. User@123. Click on this. Register. Yeah, that's fine. Now let's prove it. Close this. SQL Server Object Explorer. If you're not having yours, please go to views. You're going to search it in there. Do you remember the name of our database? Demo SQL, not Demo DBIS, Identity, etc. Alright, so from the database, we have to get it here. Demo long one, which is Demo Blazor ISDB. Yeah, that's fine, this one. So click on the tables, and in here, let's check the registration. Let's also check for the rows assigned. So from the registration, check it from the identity user, ASP.NET users. We have to have 2 people. Yes, you see we have them here. These are the various IDs. We have them set. Now you see these are the names that we stated we added. Username and etc. Right? Now have you seen the password? It has been encrypted already. Yes. And with this, the next thing that we're going to do here is let's check the rows. How many rows have the system created so far? 2 rows. Admin and a user. Now let's see which person is having the admin, which person is having the user. The ID 1 is going to be the first person to register, right? That's the admin. That's the Netcode-Hub. So let's see. This is ID 1. For the admin, it is what? D5. That is the row ID, D5. Row ID D5 for admin. Go for this ASP.NET user rows. So you have D5 as an admin. Check it out. So row ID is D5. That is this one. Now user ID is this. Let's find the user ID. User ID is 12. Let's go to the users. Now let's find 12. 12 is who? 12 Netcode-Hub. Have you seen as an admin? So defaultly, admin has been assigned to this person. That's the first registrar. The second person was assigned role, the user role, and now the subsequent ones will also be assigned as a user role. As soon as admin row is created, it seals it. No one can enter, only the admin. That's fine. That's my use case. What of yours? Try to implement your own magic, and I believe you can do it. Okay, so this is working. And the next thing I'm going to do here is let's work on the sign in. So if I click on this login, nothing happens here. Oh, not implemented exception. Oh, that's fine. We know. Thank you for showing us, but we know this. So let's close this and let's go to the account service. Let's implement the sign in here. Let's clear this. So I believe you know the first thing to do, right? It's not about making it as async. If you're able to do this, it means you know what you're doing. Aside from that, you know, we have to get user. So from this login DTO, let's get the user. Check if user is not found, then tell the user not found. Very simple. If the user is found, then we want to get the user row. Now we have only one row created, right? And that is the either an admin or user. So we get the first or default is going to get us the first row. If you have multiple rows, then you can get all the rows and now send it. Okay? Because this method returns a list of claims or list of identity row. Okay. Now in here we need to populate or we need to gather our claims that we want to set. So let's have it set here. Our claims. Now this claim we need to include identity.claims. Yes, let's see. Oh, we are not having this. Yeah, it is even solved. So claims equal to new list of claim. We have 3 claims here that we want. Name, email, and row. We get a row from this and now we populate it and that is all. After doing this, there are many ways of signing in. We first want to check password sign in. If it makes assets, then we want to sign in with claims. So password sign in, passing the email or the user as well, as you can see found here, passing this. And this is lockout. No, this is the first time, so we don't want to pass us through. This is false defaultly. And aside from that, we're going to check if it is success, but in case it is not, then must I please tell this user something. Error occurred. You can just extract the claims or extract the error and now post it to the client. All right, but it is not advisable to post this error to the client because if it's sensitive data, then you are doomed. So try to customize your errors. You can post this error to send it to or handle this using serial log or send it to your email. But for the client, customize it beautifully, package it, and then give it to him. He will love it. Okay, aside from that, then we're going to sign in. Now this guy here is going to create a token and assign it to the contest and now return this as success. So signing with claims, we pass now the user. This is going to be here. How many days you want to keep this for? Well, remember me, right? Here, maybe later on we have a video covered on this, how to use this well. But for now, let's forget about this. We want to pass in our claims. 3 claims in here, we pass in here, and that is all. Login is done. You see, it's very simple, isn't it? I know you love it. I love it as well. Okay, so now we have this. It tells you that a system is not going to work. What do you think? Okay, let's give it a try. Want to run this? Let's see. Right click on this. Let's go to the inspect. You go to the application. And now in here, from the cookie section, you click on this. For now, we have this anti-forgery token by the ASP, defaultly created. Now let's go to the account. So we're going for an account /login. Let's pass in the user. Click on login, and now let's see what will happen here. So you can see that here we have the token created. Have you seen? This is our token. We are signed in, and now you see it has been created here, isn't it? So we are signed in. This is our token. Okay, now this is working perfectly. But the next question is, how do you authenticate the user? We have the rows set up here. Remember that we specify some claims which has a row as well. How do you do it? That is what I know you are interested in. Okay, so here I know you are into the code, the actual code as well, but for the design, I think you can do something on your own, isn't it? Now, when you go to this nav menu, I want us to add maybe the login, logout buttons in there. So where can we find this? We can find this from the login, layout, nav menu. We can have this here. So all this that we have, maybe I can just copy this and I'll change the names, but I don't want to do that. You can also have time and do it. I'm going to clear all this here, and I'm going to just grab this. It is the same. Watch what I am doing. We are having the same thing. Here I change the name to cookie auth, and it's the same. As you can see, you have home, counter, weather. Now this weather, we have an authorized view. You see it, and now we are using this. Now with this authorized view, check what is happening. We have this, it's for only admin who can see this. Status here tells you that if I click on status, it's going to go to this component auth, and it's going to tell you whether you're authenticated or not. If I click on logout, that is where we want to handle the logout. Now logout here, we cannot use sign-in manager.signout. No. This has to be in an HTTP context. Now, when you use an HTTP context accessor to you, we can just read the user info. We cannot make any modification. HTTP context accessor gets you in a read form. Only read. You cannot edit it. If you can read, you will know the user is authenticated. How about if you want to log out? Then it's not possible in using that. So in this, we can create a form whereby we're going to bind or going to create our minimal API only method. I hate minimal APIs a lot, but for this, we need to create a minimal API to handle this. If you have a look on the original copy, and that is when you choose the individual account, it is the same procedure. So if you have an idea of implementing that, then that's very simple. You can just skip this and move forward. Okay, and since you're going to do that, we need to use this is the PHP, right? You can see this is done in PHP. So we have a form, an action pointing to the location of an endpoint. Account is going to be the endpoint name. Logout is going to be the route. We have the method as post. It's a PHP form. Then we have our button. So we are posting a void. We are posting just a message, empty one in there. But as soon as we post, through the posting, we can have the context, whereby the context is going to be open for modification. Then we can sign the user out. Sounds weird, right? Confusing or complicated? Alright, so this is what I know for now. Now let's continue on. Now from here we have a register, and this is just referring to the register component. Okay, account/register. No matter how it is, uppercase, lowercase, it's still going to work. This is going to work. Okay. Now we have our login, which pointing to the login. Okay, and now if you're not authorized, you cannot see this. If I save this, run this, let's see what's going to happen. Oh yes, I knew you're going to have this. Did you also know? We need to use this cascading authentication state provider, and we can put that when you go to the routes. Let's specify this cascading authentication states. You see, so we can remove all this. Let's cut this one, open and close here. So Control K, Control plus period, you're gonna have this. All right, then in here, let's make this an authorized route view. So in here we can have a lot. Not authorized, you can also have authorized, you can also have authorizing. So when authorizing, then we can just display something like please do wait for us. Let's make it as an H2. Okay, now let's check it out. Oh, okay, so you can see now it is working, and you can see we have our home, we have this counter, we have status, we have logout, right? If I click on this logout, nothing's going to happen. It's going to make a post, but it is posting to this endpoint, and now there's a route, but there's no endpoint created here. So logout is not working. Status, error, because we have not created any component for that. What I want to talk about here is, let's try to log in. So we are not having login in here. Have you seen? We're not having login. Let's find the reason why we are not having that. When you go to this nav menu, that is this one, register, and that is if you are not authorized, you have to see register and now login. If you are authorized, then see this. We have this also as an authorized, only by order, that's by admin. We have a row also created. Okay, this is what we are having now. Let's save this. Let's build this again. So we still have this. Do you know the reason why? Right click on this, go to inspect element. Now check for application and check for the token. You can see that you have it in here. So we authenticated. That's why we have this. So let's delete this one. Now refresh and see. Oh yeah, we have it, right? Login and register status. So if I click on this status, nothing happens. 404, it's not created yet. If I click on register, we go to the register, login, and now we are in there. Now we can log in and we can register at all time. Now if I click on this, let's change this to admin. So we said only admin can see weather forecast. Now it is logging in. Let's wait and see. You're going to be registered in here. Token going to be created for the cookie token. And also aside from logging in, we're going to check if we have the weather, right? So it means as soon as we sign in with claims, our token, our authentication system is working with rows. Now if I click on the weather, you can see that we have it in here. Now token has been registered. You see, it's not I sign out and I sign in as the other person, and that's going to be the user. That's going to be hidden. So we are doing a hide and seek using this authentication system. Okay, now let's work on this logout. So and also the status. So let's see what to do. Let's go in there and create one component. And now maybe this component, we can just name this component as auth, authorization, or DTOs, etc. Right? So maybe in the pages, let's have this component as auth. Or maybe we can just close this. So maybe let's say this is details status. So status is in here, and now it needs an authorized view. So if you are authorized, then you want to display the name and now say you authenticated. That's what you want to do. Okay, but in case you are not, you authenticated, and now this place is what for authorized. So this opens only when you are authorized. You can see this. Okay, we save this, and it's coming from this auth. Also, let's have a look. If I click on the next one, maybe the logout, what's going to happen? Let's run this quickly and now see first. So we have it in here. Now if I click on status, you will see I'm authenticated. So it tells you that I am hello, you're authenticated, you are admin. Now right click on this, inspect element, go to application, and now go to application cookie, clear this, reload this. And now if I use I'm logging, right? So if I click on this, home, then if I click on status, please log in. You see that? So as soon as I click on status, it gets you to this place, do login. Register, you can register this, and now let's see. So login, let's log in using this user. Click on login, And now check it out. So status, you are user. But you see, we can't see the row there because we're not assigned to view the weather. Okay, what of the logout? So we don't want to be right-clicking and go to inspect and then be clearing the cookie all the time. No, we don't want the user to do that. The user even not have an idea of having this, right? So how can we have a system to clear this? As I said earlier on, we cannot use signout.signout, signingmanager.signout. Let's try that and see. If I click on here, if you go to the service, maybe that's what is coming to your mind. Now this signing manager, you can see it has the sign out. It has the sign out, right? Let's try that and see. And now you're gonna know what I'm talking about. So maybe you can do it yourself, okay? I'm not going to do that because we want to check, want to follow our time, don't want to waste a lot of time in here. So let's create this endpoint to have access to this minimal API. Then we can post this in there, and when returning, we can return to the home page and now clear the context. That is the cookie. So let's go to the solution. Now the authentication folder that we created, let's add a new class to this. Now let's name this as identity component endpoint. Identity components endpoint. Well, you can just put like this, or you can say sign out endpoint, okay? Because here you want to make it as only sign out. So let's say this is sign out endpoints. So this is going to be the class. Let's click on to get this class created. Then in here we need a public static endpoint conversion builder. Have you seen this? This one. Then let's give it a name. So map sign out endpoint. Then in here we specify this. We are referring to this endpoint identity conversion builder, but it's not conversion because since we're going to have this route, we need this route builder. Let's say this endpoint. Okay, so we're going to have only one endpoint, so let's make that only endpoint. When you have multiple ones, then you can say endpoint. Maybe argument true null exception in case this is true. If null, then this endpoint. Endpoint. Okay. Aside from that, this should not be public. This should be internal. Sorry for that. And each instance must be created once. So let's make that static. Statics. Woo. Static. Yes. Okay. So it's a static class. And if it is not null, then you want to say that there's an account group. So this account group is equal to this endpoint. You see, endpoint.map group. Now this map group, what is the name? So what's going to be the controller name? We're going to say /account. Okay, this is a minimal API. So in that, let's have the account group. So since you have the map group name created, it's like an account dot then map post. So it's a post request. Remember that the logout form or the logout form that you created is an PHP, and it is the action is what the method is post, and it is posting to action/logout. Take note. So the name here, the action, account/logout. The account is a map group name, and now the logout is a route. Okay, so if you change that, you might also get this change so they can sync together. I believe this is clear. You've understood it, isn't it? Now in here we're going to say /logout. Then what are the payload async. We need claims principal. The claim principal contains identity. As soon as you sign in, the identity has been added to the claim principal. And in here, let's create it as user. Okay. Aside from this, we also need sign in manager. Sign in manager. Let's see, it's coming from identity. Then we have to use an application user. That's the extended class of this identity user. Control period. You have to also use this. Okay. Then we have to create an instance of this. We're going to say sign in manager. Not manager. Manager. All right. Then what else can we do again? We can, I think these two is okay. So we have the sign in manager with instance created. And now in that, let's open this. I think there's an error here, that's why. Let's have a look. We have a logout. Oh, okay, so we need to remove one of these and we have to point it to this. Then once you open it, no, we have to close it, terminate it. Yes, so this is what we need to do. Okay, so in here, we're going to say an await. So here in the context, we can just sign out. So we're going to say sign in manager dot sign out. Okay, then what I return, let's return the typed results dot, let's set local redirect. You want to redirect to where? For me, like home is okay. As soon as you sign out, go back to the home page. Then I'm going to say return account group. Now with this class that we have created, let's save it. Let's copy this. Sign out. We're not going to use this class. We're going to use the method in here as map sign out endpoint. So let's copy this. Go to program.cs file. Then say app.map endpoint. Then save this. This is coming from control period. It is coming from this. So include the reference. And that is it. Okay. So let's see. Let's try to refresh this. And now let's check it out. Now we go to logout. So we are signing, click on status, you authenticated. If I click on logout, let's see. You can see we are out. You see that? Now let's go to inspect. Go to application. Then check here. From this, you don't have it, right? Let's log in. So log in here. Let's wait. We are in. Check our status. Oh, you authenticated. Right? Have you seen this? Logout. Ah, it is off. Let's also check. Is the row working? Instead of making it an admin, and have a look here. Weather forecast, we have it. Right? When you go to network tab, clear all this. Counter. Okay, counter is not created. So I believe you can do it yourself, right? It's not important here. So status, then counter. So this is weather. We have this is the ASP.NET Core anti-forgery token. But we are not going to see a cookie in here because cookie is being stored. And now the HTTP content is going to send it. So it's going to retrieve by the server. And now I'm going to calculate it. Does it calculate? Yes. If it's valid or not. And based on the signing manager with the claims tool, we can have access to our rows as stated. So in the same folder that we created as authentication, do you remember? We have this endpoint mapped in there. That was sign out endpoint. We're going to also create our new class in here. And now this class, is it going to be in a class interface? Class interface, what do you think? Yeah, it's a class, right? All right, so let's make this as identity. Identity revalidate, because you know it's going to validate all the time. So revalidation or revalidating. I need validating all states provider. All state stands for what? Yeah, that's fine. That's correct. Let's continue. Authentication. So let's create this class. And now in this class, it has to inherit from the parent class. And what is the parent class? That's the revalidating server authentication state provider. So here, we are going to inherit it like this. Okay. Now in this, there's an abstract class that we need to implement, and that is which one? Time span and validate authentication state async. So this class here is going to tell you what time or how many minutes or how many seconds you want to record this and check if the token is valid. 10 minutes, 1 hour, 10 days. Oh, it's bad. Make sure it is in the seconds. Okay, do check it in seconds, not in days, not in hours. Else, if the token expires, the user can still have access to the system. But for seconds, 1 second it does check, 2 seconds it does check, 3 seconds or maybe 10 seconds it does check, 20, 30, 40, 50, and etc. All right. So in that, let's see what we can do from this. Let's create a constructor for this. So I'm going to say here, you're going to see TOR. Then we're going to inject iLogger factory. We can maybe inject this to logout. What is it to logout? To log? Okay, we need iService scope as well. So when you also check the original copy from using this identity manager or using this individual account, you're going to see same. All right. It is where all the resources are coming from. So you can just go in there and check it out if you don't want to check this. Then we have iOptions and identity options. So once you have this, you know what to do. We need to create an assigned field. So you can also use primary constructor, but for now, no confusion, no complications. You want to create an assigned remaining field in here. Okay. So now with all this that we have, this we can pass on revalidating authentication state provider. And let's see if we can specify this as a base. And that's a logger factory. Is it going to work in here? Or we need to pass it on? Let's see. It's an option. That's the reason why this primary constructor comes in, to make this very simple. Okay, so I prefer we use this primary constructor for now. So let's use a primary constructor, a single line can also handle everything. So I'm going to cut all this. Okay, and it is the same. So once we have this, our class that we created was, oh, the class is off. Identity manager validation state. Let me just go in back and, okay, so this is a class, isn't it? So this class that you have, we are going to just, instead of this, we're going to place it in here. Yeah, so this is what we want. Now with this identity, this has to be, you know, for a primary constructor, we do have to inject it in the class. Okay. Then aside from this, I can put this on the line like this. This one I want the horizontal coding. I love it so much. Then we pass in the logger factory in here. So you can see primary constructor it is working by secondary constructor. Using primary constructor it is working by secondary constructor it is not. That is where you have your constructor created and you have all this injected. It is not. My mouse is dancing. Okay, so we have it set in here. Now the next thing that we're going to do here is very simple as well. We need to have a time span. So how many seconds do you want to be revalidating this? Maybe you can use timestamp from, then pass in the seconds. For now, maybe 10 or 20 seconds will be okay to validate all the time. Maybe 20 will be okay. Aside from that, we have this class created. Now what can we do in here to validate this auth state async? We have this authentication state which gets the current user info, and I returned it here as a payload. So what can we do? We can get the user manager from the new scope to ensure it fetches fresh data. All right, so getting the fresh data means that it's going to have the whole content again. Then we can now do it. So first of all, we're going to create a scope then we're going to validate the security stamp from this. Now with this that we are using, remember that we need to use the user manager. So the user manager contains the current scope, the current user info, and we can do that, which extends from this identity user as application user. So get required service from this, the current user with its information. Okay, this must be an async task. Then we're going to return validate security stamp. So the security stamp I'm going to tell is the token expire. You know, when you create, if I check this, check here, you can see we have security stamp. Have you seen security stamp? That is it. And now this is in the time that has been encrypted. It tells you the time that the security, the time that the token is going to expire. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to get the security stamp from this section. Then we can now check. So from this, let's go to the same class. So you have to create this method down here, then see what this method is going to do. I can just grab this very simple one from the original source, and here no need to waste time since we have it already created. Why should you have to waste time on that? No, it is not nice to do it. So I'm going to paste this in here, and that's the validate security stamp async. You can see it is a payload as what the user manager. We have the claim principal, which tells you the current user info, all the rows that we have. So we get user async from this user manager using this principal. Then if it is null, we're going to return false. But in case and else, if it is not support user security stamp, we're going to return true. Then the principal stamp here, we get the principal stamp, and that's what I've shown you. And I get the required security stamp async from the user, and I return principal stamp equal to this user stamp. So this system is going to actually check if the stamp for the date for the expiration token or the cookie is actually due. If not, yeah, we can still move on with this. This system that we have created here, it has been created. What can you do? Here, I did no modification. It is just from the ASP.NET team who did it. So credit goes to them. I did not do anything here, please. So just go to the identity manager, individual account, and you can even grab them in here. What I did is just rename this, put it in a simple way. Okay, now this is also an internal sealed class. So there's an internal sealed class. Okay, so we have this set. Let's go to the same program.ts file, and we go to include it here. So you know that here when you create your system, let me create all the spaces. When you create your system in here, that is when you're using the JWT token, you create an custom auth state provider. You have to create a DI between the authentication state provider, the original one, and the fake one that you have created, or the customized one that you have created. Likewise, you have to do the same here. Auth state provider, then we have to link it to create a DI between the custom that we created as identity validating state provider. Okay, so we can just put it here, and this is going to make a check all the time. So is it beta.services, not the host, .services .add scope. Then in here you're going to say this auth state provider. Do you have it? Have you found yours? Authentication states provider. Okay, then what else are we binding? There's a identity. I cannot find mine. Yes, state provider, and now we close it up. Okay, so this is all that we need to do. Now I think everything is solved. We can close this. So I click on this. Let's close all tabs. Save this. Stop this. Let's build this project. Let's make some cleanup. Let's build. Okay, so what we've done so far, you may not be able to see any difference because the token has not expired yet. The time is not due. In default, ASP identity team made it to 14 days. So when you assign cookie, it is for 14 days. It expires, so user has to log in after 14 days. So you can wait for 14 days, then you try it again and then see if that is going to work. Okay, so while this has built as seeded, let's run this and now check it out. So since you have an account already, you can see we have a store, so we automatically picked up and we are in already. Let's log out, and now let's check it out from here. The expiry dates, you are not going to see it. What you can see here is a session written in there, but it's for 14 days. You can see expiry date here, you can see it's a session. You cannot see this. It is for 14 days. So let's try to log in here now and see. So log in, pass in this admin, and now check it out. You can see we have a session and you can not see this, but it is 14 days. That is for default by the ASP.NET team. Alright, so that is it for this video. I believe you guys love it, and I also love it as well. Yes, thank you so much for watching. I believe the next video we're going to talk about different things altogether, and trust me, you're going to love it as well. Till then, take care of yourself, and I'll catch you next time.